Every success story begins with a turning point, but Shadow's started with heartbreak. Once a top recruit for a rescue unit, he trained tirelessly alongside his handler, until tragedy struck. His partner, a brave firefighter, lost his life saving others. Shadow never recovered. Sirens sent him cringing under tables. Flames turned into jelly. In every test, he froze. The dog bred to face fire now quaked at its very sight, deemed unfit and unwanted. Shadow ended up behind the cold bars of a crowded shelter, forgotten by everyone but him. What happens when the one you trust most disappears forever? One lazy afternoon, Ethan Carter, a firefighter himself, wandered into that same shelter on a rare day off. He'd meant only to pass the time, but something in the dimmest corner stopped him cold. A German shepherd, curled into himself, eyes glazed with fear. No bark, no growl, just a creature who'd given up. Staff warned, he's untrainable, a waste of space. Yet Ethan saw something different, a dog as lost as he'd once been. He noted Shadow's twitching ears each time a door creaked. Moments before any sound reached them, it was as if Shadow heard the world before it happened. In trees, Ethan made his choice. Could love heal what fear had broken? The ride to Ethan's home should have been a journey of hope, but it felt more like a trial. Shadow cowered in the back seat, eyes glued to the door, convinced escape was futile. When Ethan opened the firehouse doors, a surprise alarm shattered the moment. Shadow bolted, body shaking so violently, Ethan feared a heart attack. Captain Reynolds smirked. That dog you believe in? You've got 1 week to prove he's worth keeping. In that harsh challenge, Ethan's confidence wavered. Had he misread the silent surrender he once saw as potential? That night, Ethan found his room in ruins. Papers shredded, pillows ripped, boots torn to shreds. Anger burned hotter than any blaze. "This is how you repay me?" he hissed. Shadow didn't flee. Instead, he lowered his head, guilt flashing in his eyes, terror still lurking beneath. Ethan's rage subsided into a heavy ache. He realized Shadow's destruction wasn't spite, it was confusion. If he gave up now, both would remain broken. Kneeling beside Shadow, Ethan whispered, "We'll figure this out, won't we? Could patience be stronger than frustration?" Ethan stopped forcing progress. Mornings began with shared silence over coffee, two souls learning trust. He let Shadow sit by him reading the newspaper. Walks were gentle, leash slack, no tugging. Day by day, Shadow flickered to life. A glance when Ethan spoke his name, a tentative tail wag at dinner. One exhausted evening, Ethan flopped onto the floor. Shadow paused, then inched forward to rest his head on Ethan's leg. In that soft weight lay proof. The gap between them was shrinking. Yet always, before a distant siren or explosion, Shadow stiffened a heartbeat early. An uncanny anticipation Ethan couldn't ignore. What secret skill hid behind those fearful eyes? To test his hunch, Ethan played a low rumble from his phone. An explosion, recorded miles away. Shadow's head snapped up, ears tilting as if decoding unseen vibrations. It clicked. This dog wasn't scared of noise. He could sense danger before it arrived. A living early warning system. Ethan's heart raced. Shadow held a gift far more precious than obedience. Could this gift save lives? Opportunity knocked sooner than expected. While patrolling near an abandoned warehouse, Shadow's hackles rose, though all seemed quiet. Ethan followed his lead and discovered a gas leak humming beneath a cracked pipe. A single spark could have leveled everything. Thanks to Shadow's warning growl, the crew arrived in time to seal the leak. Colleagues murmured about luck and Reynolds dismissed it. One guess doesn't prove he belongs here. But Ethan knew better. Shadow had shown his purpose. Would one triumph ever be enough to change minds? In the weeks that followed, Shadow blossomed. He no longer cowered, but sought out Ethan's presence, sleeping at his feet and leaning in for scratches after training. His fear faded, replaced by quiet confidence. Yet whenever Ethan shared the warehouse incident, Reynolds demanded more. "I need consistency under fire." That challenge only fueled Ethan's resolve. How many tests must a hero pass before he's believed? The true trial came with a frantic call. An apartment building engulfed in flames. Thick smoke swallowed stairwells, trapping tenants above. Amid the chaos, a mother's scream pierced the air. Her daughter still hid somewhere inside. No one knew where. Ethan looked down at Shadow. "Find her," he commanded. Instantly, Shadow bolted, nose skimming the floor. Ethan followed, heart pounding. The fire's roar closed in, heat searing every breath. Then Shadow stopped, his bark echoing off charred walls. Ethan flung open a door, and there, huddled in a smoke-blackened corner, was the little girl. Cradling her in his arms, Ethan retraced their steps, Shadow guiding each turn, until they burst out into cool air. The mother wept, clutching her child. Onlookers whispered in awe. That dog! He actually found her. But Reynolds remained stoic. One save doesn't make a partner. What more could Shadow do to prove himself? Fate answered 2 days later with a deafening blast at a chemical plant. A worker lay trapped amidst toxic fumes so dense no firefighter dared enter. Ethan groped for hope. Shadow, he murmured, clipping on the leash. Into the black haze they charged. Ethan stumbling over debris, lungs burning. Minutes stretched into agony until Shadow's sharp bark cut through the smoke. There, half buried under fallen beams, lay the unconscious worker. Ethan hoisted him onto his shoulders, but as they turned back, the ceiling groaned and crashed down, sealing off the exit. Terror surged until Shadow met Ethan's eyes, then darted toward a narrow gap between steel supports. Trusting his partner completely, Ethan followed, the worker's weight like lead. At last, they tumbled out into daylight. Medics rushed forward. The worker lived. The crew stood speechless. Could even the hardest heart resist such a miracle? That evening, the firehouse buzzed with a new energy. Colleagues who once mocked now patted Shadow on the head. Treats appeared spontaneously whenever Ethan walked by. Even Reynolds approached, uneasily rubbing his chin. You did good, Carter, he said quietly, and then, looking down at Shadow, so did he. Ethan felt a lump rise in his throat. It wasn't grand praise, but for Reynolds, it was everything. In a small ceremony, Shadow received an honorary badge, his name officially added to the rescue team. Applause thundered through the station. No more whispers of uselessness. No more shadows of doubt. What challenges lie ahead for this hero in fur? Under the fading sunset, Ethan and Shadow stood outside, breath clouding in the cool air. Ethan stroked Shadow's ears. We've come a long way, haven't we? Shadow leaned in, tail wagging in measured joy. Together, they faced whatever came next, partners in every sense. If Shadow's journey taught us one thing, it's that every life, no matter how broken, deserves a second chance. If you were moved by Shadow's incredible transformation, hit like, share, and subscribe. Help us reach 1,000 subscribers so we can bring you more stories that remind us hope always finds a way. In the days that followed, Shadow's fame quietly spread beyond the firehouse walls. Neighbours stopped Ethan on the street, their eyes lighting up as they spoke of the miracle dog who sensed danger before it struck. Local schools invited Shadow for demonstrations, watching in awe as he alerted instructors to hidden hazards in mock drills. Yet through every accolade and pat on the head, Shadow remained the same humble soul who once trembled at sirens. He greeted each new challenge with the same steady gaze, reminding Ethan that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the choice to move forward despite it. Late at night, when the station's lights dimmed and the world outside fell silent, Ethan and Shadow would sit on the front steps, the dog's head resting on Ethan's knee. No words passed between them, only the steady rhythm of breath and the unspoken promise that they had each other's backs, no matter what. As the sky shifted from velvet blue to starlit black, Ethan would whisper, "We've saved lives together, buddy, but our mission is just beginning." And Shadow, ears perked and eyes bright, seemed to murmur back, "Lead the way." With that shared resolve echoing into the quiet night, they prepared for whatever new calls, new dangers, or new adventures the future might hold, together.